Okay guys, this next set of videos is going to be associated with the notes that come from Chapter 1, Section 3. What we're going to be doing in this section of Chapter 1 is I'm going to be having you guys refresh on solving equations, which you would have done a ton of in Algebra 1. So again, continuing this theme of just reviewing things you did back in Algebra 1. And specifically what we're going to ask you to be able to do by the time we get through this set of videos are these objectives or learning targets. So let's go through and highlight them for you here. What you should be able to do by the time we get to the end of these videos is you need to be able to translate verbal expressions into algebraic expressions and equations. You'll see there's two ways to go here. That's why the vice versa is at the end. I will give you a statement and you should be able to take the statement and turn that into an algebraic expression. The flip side of that coin is if I give you an algebraic expression, you need to be able to write out a statement for that expression. So that'll be our first objective. That's what we're going to go ahead and take care of first in this set of notes. And then after that, we'll go ahead and take a look at just reviewing the properties of equality that you guys learned in Algebra 1 and get some practice with solving equations. So let's go ahead and jump straight into this. What I've got for you here are some algebraic expressions, and what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit of practice taking these algebraic expressions and writing them as a verbal sentence, or writing them out as in just using, we call them expressions as verbal expressions. All right, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of practice. Just review a couple of words with you. First, remember, instead of using times, if you have two things that are multiplied together, instead of using times, let's go ahead and use the term product. Instead of using division, let's go ahead and use the term quotient. If you're adding things, rather than say, hey, add this to this, use the term sum. And for subtraction, let's try and use the term difference. Just a little bit more high school words to really help us make sure that our verbal expressions look nice and sound good. So we'll go ahead and try the first one here together. And then, of course, if you want to jump ahead and try the rest of them on your own, come on back and see what we did. The one little thing I want to say here, though, is your sentences may not look exactly like mine. Doesn't mean they're wrong. There's more than one way to write a verbal expression for these, and they're all perfectly good. So we're just going to get some practice here. Please don't think that the way I write it is the way it has to be written. So here's what we're going to do for the first one. I'll actually show you two ways as we go through these, just to give you an idea. What you might be tempted to do is say, hey, I have a 6 times x. Why don't I just do 6 times x equals 72. And that's perfectly fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that sentence. It's not wrong. But I would encourage you to try and get some practice using a little bit more high school Algebra 2 vocabulary, especially seeing as how if I ever give you a verbal expression in the homework, on a quiz or a test, I'm probably not going to write it this way. This is a little too middle school for us. Here's what you might expect to see and what I want you to get some practice doing. So while there's nothing wrong with that answer, this would certainly be a better one. The product already we're off to a better start. We use this term product, awesome high school word here in Algebra 2, which just means that you're multiplying 6 times x. So the product of 6 and a number x is equivalent to 72. Again, I've got two sentences here, the top one and then the second one. What I'm going to encourage you to do here as you run through the rest of them, try and make your sentences look a little bit more like the second one, where you use some of those more advanced terms that you should get used to seeing and you will see in this class, homework, quizzes, tests, even in the book. You'll see more of that kind of terminology, product, equivalent, stuff like that. So let's go ahead, try the next few, and we'll see if we can write a little bit more advanced sentences for these ones. So here's our next one. Sorry, I squeezed in a little bit there. It's n plus 15 equals 91. That's our statement. Let me do this one in red. Well, here's what we could do. We said instead of doing n plus 15, let's go ahead and use the term sum. So we could say the sum of a number n and 15 is, and I'm perfectly fine. You don't have to use the word equivalent every single time. Equal is fine. So the sum of a number n and 15 is equal to 90. What have I got? 92? Or sorry, 91. So nice high school sentence there, using a lot of terms you guys will see quite frequently in this class. A couple more here. I'll let you try that one again on your own, see how it goes. Or can check back to see how your sentences look compared to mine. This next one, though, has got subtraction in it, and we'll need to be a little bit careful here when it comes to subtraction. I want to show you two ways to do this one as well, because you might see it both ways. We certainly can use the term difference. All right, difference is a great term meaning subtraction without saying subtraction. So you could say the difference. The difference of a number g and 5 is equivalent to -2. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. We used a couple of great words, difference, equivalent, all good. There is one more way, though, that we could describe subtraction, and for some kids it is a little confusing, so I want to make sure that we take a look at it together here on this one. What you're doing is you have a number g. We don't know what the number is, it's an unknown, but g is going to be some number. You're going to subtract 5 from that number, and you should get -2. One of the ways that they're going to write this is they can simply say 5 less than a number g. What that means is you're taking some number g, you need to be 5 less than that. It means the exact same thing as subtraction or difference, it's just written another way. So let me go ahead, I'll do this one in green. Same problem, we're still doing this one right here because I ran out of space. I'm just going to drop down a little bit. So let me slide this guy up, and here we go. We're going to come right down here. Draw a little arrow. We'll put it right here. All right, so remember, the way I said it is you're going to do 5 less than a number g. Is equal to -2. Now, I think what sometimes throws kids off here is the fact that when you write it this way, we have switched the order of the 5 and the g, right? In the algebraic expression, the g comes first and the 5 comes second. But in my statement, I say the 5 first and then the number g second. However, the way it's written, it still means subtraction. And I know that that can sometimes seem a little bit confusing, but you're actually going to see it written this way a lot in this class. So just take a second, make sure you're okay with the wordage here, the verbiage here. 5 less than a number g means that you're taking a number g and you have to be 5 less than that. So you will be subtracting 5. Don't let that throw you off when you see it. This one, B, I'll go ahead and switch to another color here. Well, let's go back to red. And this one, I just want to do this one with you. Again, we have this difference, subtraction. So we're going to go ahead, let's try this way again, all right? Let's see if we can write a statement using this particular form. And we also have a square in there, so we'll go ahead and take care of that as well. This one might be a little bit longer because I got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. So let's start off with the product of 2 times a number c. Actually, I apologize. Hang on one second. I'm being incredibly redundant here. I already used the term product, which means multiplication, and then I tell you it's 2 times a number c. That is ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason to write it that way. What we actually should do, or what I should have done here, is we're going to do the product of 2 and a number c. I apologize for that. Fix my E and a number C. All right, so much better here. I'm telling you that it's multiplication without telling you more than one. So sorry about that. Try not to be redundant in these sentences because then you're just sort of wasting your time writing words that you don't need. So we have the product of 2 and a number C, and that is the right-hand side of this equation. We'll go ahead and use equivalent. So the product of 2 and a number C is equivalent Now, at this point, you could go ahead if you wanted to, perfectly good word, and you could say equivalent to the difference, right? And then describe what you're taking the difference of. That's awesome. But I said we were going to go ahead and try and write it this way. So here's what I think it would look like if we do that. The product of 2 and a number C is equivalent to 4 less. 4 less than a number C, squared, because C is squared. Yeah, a lengthy sentence, but what you've done here is you've used a lot of fantastic vocabulary in describing this algebraic expression, and I just want you to get a little bit of practice with these. You'll get a lot more in the homework. Make sure you're okay with this slightly different way of writing subtraction, because you will see it and it can be a little confusing, so just take your time on it. That concludes this page of the notes. Flip on over to the next page. I'll meet you there.